Call the work session of the Site Plan Review Technical Advisory Committee meeting of January 9th to order. We have one item on the agenda, 105 Bartlett Street. You guys want to come up to the mics and introduce yourselves?
I'm Pat Murray, representing Ritchie Lumber.
Brett Kelly with Kodiak Building Partners.
We had, sorry,
Go ahead.
we had a slight change in venue because the engineer couldn't get out of where he was.
Okay.
So Brett's stepping in for the engineer.
If you want to walk us through what...
Sure, okay. So what we're proposing here is a slight change the way the operations run right now. As I mentioned in the narrative, that with the project that is happening behind us with Ed's project, Ed Hayes, we have to make some adjustments in the yard to basically continue to do business. We've got a substantial amount of land that's being lost to the construction of the condo project that's behind us. And after having our engineer, who is a spatial engineer as well as efficiency engineer, go through the project to see what we could do and how much more efficient we could be, as well as improve our storage capacity, the only operation we can do is to go vertical. Additionally, with our buildings that are quite extensively old, dilapidated, unsafe, and I can go on for a while on those, adding more modern buildings similar to what we've already constructed on the property would be the advantageous way of moving forward with this project. The engineer who went through the project went through all the variances and stipulations on the property. He's done everything he can to fit the project into the current variances that the project contains, or the property contains, and try to appease everything that we need to appease on that property. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Do you want to go through like the new buildings and what's being replaced?
Okay, so which page are you on? Okay, so on this page here, in the yellow right-hand corner there, those are currently the buildings that were allowed in the last variance request, which is still pertaining to that property, which is a three-sided shed which replaced a bulk storage area. The second cantilever shed, which is the one in the middle there, is the new racking system that replaced a lot of the old wooden construction that happened back in the early 80s. And those are the two existing buildings. Going forward, our plan is that with the loss of those two barns in the rear, the upper part of the picture, those two brown boxes there, those buildings are going away with the loss of that land. We have no undercover storage for any of our trucks at night. So, for example, Monday night when the snow, or Sunday when the snow came down, those trucks were parked inside those sheds to protect the material before they went out. With the loss of those two barns, we have no covered storage external to the property. So our proposal for phase one of the project is where, if you move forward, Pete, right there, is to construct a partial barn on one side of the property and a cantilever shed on the other side of the property, which would allow us to park trucks at night underneath that cantilever to protect the material, as well as give us additional vertical storage in that property. Understanding that there's an easement there, we've done everything we can to appease the easement by raising the building up to 20 feet, and if necessary, we could raise it higher. The building is a one-sided fascia, which is the parking lot on that side. Everything else is wide open. It's an all-steel constructed building, technically racking more than anything else. It's not really a building per se, it's a racking system. And the racking that's on the far side against the fence there, down the bottom, Pete, sorry, right there. The first half of that building is part of a shed, again, similar to what the three-sided shed is in the back of the lot. And then that part right there is a auto stacking system, which all the lumber would be actually auto stacked by forklifts. We no longer have to manually handle that material into the building anymore. It gets put on rollers and rolled in and out of the racks. On top of those racks, at the what we'll call the second floor level, that's all bulk storage, insulation, roofing being felt paper, Typar, Tyvek, stuff like that. It's protected as much as we possibly can keep it protected. That pertains to that lot number there. The forward lot, those two buildings there, the first building to the right, yeah, that building right there is replacing a cement shed / bulk storage area that is a building that's only just a little over a story high, continuously gets hit by forklifts. The proposal in that is to build a very similar building to what we have in the rear, which is a three-sided cantilever building with some auto stackers in it, again, to protect the material and make it a much more safe building, as well as a better protected building than what we currently have, and also, in essence, add to the aesthetics to the property, because right now it's not a pretty building. The last building, which is the building right there, we currently have a one-story, very underutilized building because we can't get anything into it. We call it the Anderson Barn currently. Cannot get a forklift in there, cannot get stacking in there. Very inefficient building, wasn't built properly. Building's dated back to probably 1994, 95. All wood building. Again, we're proposing a steel building, much safer building, constructed on all sides. Truck height, so we can actually back a truck into it and unload properly. Right now, we have to bring it to the ground and unload into the building, which is, again, not only a safety hazard, but a hazard for the employees. And that's really what we're proposing for the whole property. We're not overdoing anything that isn't currently the property isn't being used for. We're just improving the buildings that are there and making them a much safer and better venue. If you go back to the back part of the building, Pete, right there, way back past the store, all the way to the right, that area right there, there's currently a building that is existing right there. That building, when all is said and done, is coming down. That's actually one of the oldest buildings on the whole property. That was built in 1979, if I remember the date right. All wood construction. Serves no purpose except for bulk storage right now. When all those other buildings, if allowed, put in, that would become our bulk storage area. That's where we'd be doing our lay down and building of loads in that one area there. Other than that, the only foreseeable problem, which I know Ed's been talking to Peter Rice about, is the easement for the city sewer going underneath there. At one point in time, there were train tracks. When I first started working there back in 1977, there was a set of tracks to the right of the building, which butted right up to the store. We unloaded train cars, long before I was there, thank God, unloaded train cars with concrete into that building. Those tracks were pulled up back in the late 90s. On the forward side of the store, over the easement, and three more tracks, all the way to the current track system, there were tracks laid down there. So there was, at one point in time, 4 sets of tracks on that side of the building. And they all went right over the easement. Certainly a lot more weight than we'll ever put on those tracks. And those tracks ran across Bartlett Street, too, at one point in time, went over to the old Regan coal and oil yard.
All right, thanks. So when these plans say proposed lots, that represents the subdivision that was done to create the street. There's no new lot line adjustments.
There's no lot line adjustments in this case. The engineer, after our meeting last time, Pete, the engineer went back and made the adjustments to make sure both the buildings were on their own lots. Nothing's overlapping lots at this point.
So there are no proposed lots? These are plan sets that he was working off of from one time when they were subdivided? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure you know this like the back of your hand because you've worked there for so long, but
I don't know about that part, but okay.
it's confusing with proposed lot. I mean, I'm going through this and I'm like, what's actually happening? I see, it says, this sheet says 9 buildings, but then the next sheet, and then it
So
seems like it's very kind of all over the place, but
So-
it could just be me.
Well, no, what happened was, when the engineer went through this, he went through all the variances and all the different things that happened. He found that the map for the city of Portsmouth and the two maps didn't match. One map had lot 1, one lot had lot 2, and that's what he was trying to notate, was how one lot was, in one form, was a lot number 1, but when you went to the other map lot, it said lot number 2. So he was trying to highlight which one was which. Okay. So if you go to, I believe next page, proceed. I'm not sure I got it right. Actually, page 1, I'm sorry, Pete. So what he was trying to point out was, Lot 1 is Lot 1. Lot 2 is proposed Lot 2, which he made a note here on page 1.
Also lot 1.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, and then proposed Lot 3 is Lot 3, but it's Lot 2 on the city map. So he was trying to, so one set of sheets had one set of lots, so he was trying to define where was what. So the only two lots that we're really talking about at this point in time is Lot 2 and Lot 3.
2 and 3, okay.
1 and 4 and 5 are not part of the discussion.
Okay, 2 and 3.
So when we met, we had talked about the fact that lot 3, I guess we'll call it, the one on the right, doesn't have any frontage on a city street. And you're proposing a new building, that 3-sided shed, right?
Correct. And if you go by the variance that was approved back when Ed was doing the other, on Lot 3, those, according to what the engineer, again, I have to go with the engineer because he's not here. He said that he believed that the variance covered what we were trying to discuss here.
Okay, so that's the only thing you're building on that lot?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're taking down the other building in the back.
3, back. 3-sided shed. 3. Get a millwork where?
Right. So what Brett's pointing out is it's two buildings, but it's proposed to be one unit. So
The narrow cantilever shed?
the narrow cantilever
Two-sided
shed.
shed?
Yeah, so in the pictures, or the pictures, the prints I sent you before, it shows the shed building having a drive-under on the one closest to the fence, and then the power roll system proposed comes up underneath, not underneath it, but spreads about 8-9 feet from the meeting of it at the top. So
So
there's,
Okay, sorry. The roller system connects to the cantilever shed or comes close to the cantilever shed? Is that?
there's a split in the roof.
Oh, it's all one building,
It's two buildings, two separate buildings, but they don't meet.
but a contiguous, they don't meet.
Not in the center, no. If you... That's what it brings. I don't know if this plays well. So the proposed idea was we couldn't do this. I was asking questions when we were doing this. So the proposed idea is this is the one that's up against the fence line. There's a 5-foot gap in the middle, and this is the side against the other fence.
What's the side against the other fence?
This is the auto stacker on that side,
Okay.
and this is the side that's on, over the
Easement. So the roof of this building and this building will be separated by a 5-foot
5
gap?
feet, yeah. That's just showing land mass.
But that blue to the right, that long blue,
This is there,
that's there.
That's our existing.
The only new one is the one to the right of that.
are these two.
I'm talking about the other lot, the lot on the right,
Right.
that lot.
That's already there.
That's there?
Yep.
Everything in blue is there.
Right, but proposed lot 2, you have a 80 by 47 warehouse, right, proposed?
Yep.
And 114-foot by 30-foot three-sided shed. But that's, is that?
This is lot 2
There you
here.
go, yeah, okay, yeah. Right, yep.
He'd originally on Lot 3 had drawn that as one big drive-through type unit, but there was some question about sprinkler system and allowable square footage, and so I think the idea was to go ahead and separate those two to eliminate the need for because they're really open. It's really like cantilever racking with a roof above it, so pretty much wide open on the sides. So we felt it was best to just go ahead and split the two and eliminate the need for a dry system outdoors.
Is it confusing to you? Okay, good. Like, so you got the, is there a map, so I see over here in the bottom left, you got the pink ones, or whatever that color is, and then way over to the right, we got them in yellow, like the cantilever shed and the three-set, because those are new, right?
These are existing, right?
Those are,
So
Those
the
are
ones on this plan aren't shown, but
oh,
there's
okay.
going to be
Come- yeah.
one here and
Got
here.
I
it,
don't know why
okay.
that didn't come through with the pink on it, but yes.
Okay.
And if you, that slide you had above, those bottom three brown ones are the ones that are basically going away. The next slide right there.
So
That
this one, this one, and this one.
Yeah, and then,
And this is gone, right? Or
Yeah.
no?
Is there a sheet that shows that these are getting demoed? I would have a demo plan
Yeah.
and a proposed plan.
That would-
That'd be so much easier just to see what's
And
happening.
elevation, so we can,
We're already gonna need, right, we're already
I
gonna
already
want to.
submitted, maybe not this meeting, but I did submit to Peter, I believe.
And really, there should be like new engineered plans from an engineer. I mean, I know this is like overlaid on John Shagnon's plans. We should really have updated engineered sheets that show what's going to be on the building. I mean, what's going to be on the site.
Yeah. Because it's hard to follow. And that the plan needs to be stamped, so.
when the other project went through, we talked about the name of the road. And that should have its own street.
That's not part of our scope. That's Ed's scope for this project. I don't have,
Well, I would say the same thing for this project. Like, with the number of lots, a single Bartlett Street address is not appropriate.
why is it?
It doesn't meet the E911 standards, addressing standards for sure. And then with the other buildings, that just exacerbates that.
So that's gonna be a private street up there, and they're contemplating putting something in for a request for a street name for that development.
Yeah, that whole street
Yeah, it
should
would,
be,
it would be the same street that these would use ultimately.
right,
Right now, it's a private driveway.
but it should be a private street, you know.
So on the properties, the ones you're building on the property line, on the bottom of the plan, are you able to build those all from your property?
So last time we did those two buildings there, we went to the railroad and got permission to come on that side of the property and do the construction.
Have you done that for this one?
Not yet, because I don't want to promote them until we know what we're doing.
Okay. Yeah, that's something we'd want to see too, just that you can build it, or that you're going to build it all from your property, either way, but.
And let me ask you, on the ones that are on the property line there, is the plan to have that entire wall that runs parallel with the property line of rate, 1 hour rated construction, was that kind of, because you can't, you're closer than 5 feet to the property line, so you,
Well, it's up against the railroad tracks. No one could ever build there, and it wasn't required for the other two buildings.
I wasn't here with the other two buildings,
Yeah.
but we'd certainly need to consider that and not ignore the fact that the code is very clear that says within 5 feet of the property line, doesn't specify railroad tracks, just says the property line. So we want to somehow overcome that. And I'm not sure if there was a no-build easement that was issued to the railroad company, or maybe there's something in place right now that said, the railroad in perpetuity, nothing can ever be built here, no problem, right? I hear you, right? But from looking at it from the black and white perspective, we just want to make sure that's covered. I would imagine there could be a no-build easement. How close is it to the railroad track? Like 30?
Well, we're legally, we measured off the tracks, and they came out and measured with us on the first buildings. I can't remember what the measurement has to be, but it's already been checked.
I was just curious, like,
I think it's like 25, 30 feet has to be off the
Usually
tracks.
25 feet.
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Off the tracks.
That's actually the closest rail, 25 feet.
There's rail, not the center line, the rail.
We're like 40 feet, if I remember right.
Those buildings, are they wood built? They're steel buildings
They're all steel.
Storing wood
on the other side.
of a single sheet of corrugated steel, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, potentially, combustible, you might be all set,
It's more of a rack than it is a building.
Rack with a roof.
Yeah, rack with a roof, yeah. Yeah, that's probably less of an issue than I'm making it to be, yeah, considering the type of construction and the fact that it is up against a railroad track.
If someone could build there, I'd be really shocked, but I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would want to see more information on the building, the elevations and everything, just to, so we can do our due diligence, make sure that it probably doesn't have to be sprinklered, any of them, but just to make sure,
Yeah.
And you said you did send in some architectural plans?
He got our phase, our
Well, it
proposal.
wasn't part of the submittal, but
No, that's-
we had a meeting a few weeks ago to go over this.
Yeah.
What kind of fence is that?
Well, first of all, the building in most cases would be the fence line for that, and anything in between there would be similar to what we have right now. Chain link. The only thing I probably would change was I'd probably raise the height of it, because it's been too easy, people climb over and get the steel materials.
How high?
8 feet.
I think 6 feet. Well,
Yeah. 6 feet's the max you can have on a property line
Okay, well,
Without a variance.
without a variance, right? Yeah, you can get
Barbed wire on your fence or just regular fence?
there's barbed wire up there since day one, so is that allowed?
6 with what, barbed wire or no?
I mean, if it's 6 to the top of the barbed wire.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Not,
We-
It
higher than that.
Yeah, okay.
So sheet 2 here, you've got that warehouse shown not being built in the sewer line easement, but the next sheet down, sheet 3, it is in that sewer line easement, up a little bit, there.
Which one?
Down,
Down.
there. That pink building on the left, the warehouse,
That one.
shown being built in
Oh,
the sewer
there,
line
yeah.
easement, where on the previous sheet it wasn't, so is the plan to build that in the easement?
No, it would
No,
not, no,
no.
it would not be. I don't know why that overlaid onto there.
I didn't pick that up, thank you.
Yeah?
Same size.
Being all observant.
Occasionally.
Yeah,
It's very
I
impressive.
don't know if he's,
He screwed that up.
Get you a
yeah,
cupcake.
the idea did not have to be there, correct?
He just slid it back and forth on the building.
I missed this.
This is showing the easement here, not the easement.
Actually, what he did, he slid the building forward when he was moving around. I see what he did.
Yeah, there was no intention. The only, I think the only real question with the easement was, will that that building on Lot 3 that was originally one big drive-through building with 2 lanes. But the idea was, is that going to be an issue? Having a roof over an easement, there won't be anything built on the easement per se. The racks will be on each side of it, and the roof will go from rack to rack, which covers the easement.
Another thing we did in our pre-meeting, we talked about the coverage on the site. You guys take a look at that?
Yeah, actually, if you go to actually, if you're on page 3, I think, 3, in the yellow boxes on those, right there, those middle yellow boxes there.
Right here?
Yeah, those are, that's what the engineer went through and plotted out.
Sheet 3 or 4. Area it is, right up here for you. Where?
Next to the table. Under the 60%.
That's the impervious. Which one was the building coverage? Is that it? That's
So it's exactly 85%, the open space?
Mhm.
We end up changing the buildings. The buildings as originally drawn were a little bit larger, and in order to get down to that percentage, those buildings.
So you made it fit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the buildings were shrunk from that original meeting that
Okay,
that we
great.
had.
All right, yep.
And then on page 4, the, was decrease, and then the open space was 13, but the variance we got when I did the last part of the project was 9.6, so we fell into the variance there.
Sure.
To the,
It would be helpful when you guys submit your full TAC application if you could do a write-up, it doesn't have to be long, but of what variances were granted for each.
It is to the right.
Right, but
Okay,
just
okay.
the ones that are for the lots that are
Okay.
proposed. And then, just showing those calculations, this is what was changed, these buildings are being removed, they're being replaced by XYZ square footage, so that the calculation is lined up. This is nice, but again, with everything else, it's a little confusing, and if you could just scale it back and make it a little simpler, that'd be helpful.
You know, when you hand it to an engineer, they pretty much go crazy.
I think there's a lot of information here, it's just a matter of like finding it all and trying to understand how it all, but like on sheet 3 or 4, current state site layout. When this says current state site, does that mean like existing conditions? Is that what that means, current state site? Okay. So then, information on the sheet, and then it talks about contains 3 existing buildings,
Does that count as
consume
open space?
future, and then the next sheet talks about what's happening on there, 9 buildings, there's gonna be 2 new buildings, so on and so forth. I feel like it would be a very handy narrative, especially with the planning board, to say, overall, this is what's happening. We're proposing to demolish 5, and then build the following, when you list those out square footage wise, and then in one master plan, existing conditions and then proposed conditions. And then on the existing conditions, you would have these demolished, there's a key on the right, red equals demo, and then, on the next sheet, blue equals new, or however we want to do it, but so that we can follow it along. Yeah, I wouldn't even know what I'm approving here, it'd be really complicated, yeah. A lot of information, though.
so all the variances that are listed on whatever sheet that is, 3 or 4, those are already been approved variances?
Right, it was approved when we did the first phase of this project.
This one's roof goes all the way to.
So your understanding is you don't need any variances to move forward with what you proposed?
From what the engineer came back with, no.
Okay.
I do, elevations.
Sorry, I might have missed this, but the cantilevered pallet rack system, it's located in the, it looks like it's located in a parking area. It's on sheet 3?
Gosh, one more thing. Wait for it.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, right in the center.
Oh,
No, a little further up.
yeah, that's the label
That's the
for the
label
one
for-
below.
Oh,
I
I
was
see.
confused, yeah, I questioned our architect on that, or the engineer on that as well. I said, what do you, but he was attempting to label the box that's not highlighted pink, like where the mouse is right now, that color
So it's going to be located on the easement?
right there.
So
Yes,
that should be a
correct.
call out to this structure below it. So that's new, that structure below it, and then the structure below that is new also.
Yes, they're not shaded.
So it's
for
those
what-
two, and then the two to the left, the pink
Correct.
ones to the left, are all the new ones. And that, oh, sorry, Vince, are you done?
No, that was it. Yeah.
So the lot line splits the parking lot, is that accurate?
Yes.
Yeah. Is there easements or something, like if one lot sells, the other lot loses their entrance to the parking lot type of thing?
Well, first of all, there'd be access either from the front of from Bartlett Street or, so the access wouldn't be a problem. As far as the easements, I would have to get Ed involved. He's not here today, he's in Florida, couldn't get back, but he could probably answer that question better than I could.
I mean, it seems like we would need something there probably.
Especially where the store crosses over as well. But it's going to remain in the same ownership?
Why is it two different lots then?
It goes back to the railroad. As we bought, or I should say, not we, he bought the parcels, they just maintained their conformity, whatever they were at the time.
Okay. So as far as the building that is the principal concern regarding the utility easement, we're gonna need to see cross-sectional drawings of that show the foundation system and how the foundation system is gonna interact with the soil loading around our pipe to confirm that the area of influence generated by the mass of the building underground is not gonna be loaded on the pipe. And also, and almost more importantly at this point, because of the age of the pipe, that the foundation systems are low enough that we could excavate the entire pipeline out and then replace it without the building, having to worry about the building subsiding. If that makes sense to you. So we're gonna need to see all that kind of engineering, which is another level of engineering that we typically don't see at this level, but in order for the city to contemplate your request, we're gonna need to see all that stuff. And I agree, we're gonna need to see the total overhang of the buildings as part of the actual plan, so that buildings that are cantilevered more than they're shown here, we need to see what the roof overhang is for each building and all that sort of thing, and then we're gonna need to see what the proposed addresses are for the buildings and all that sort of stuff. I know this is a work session, I get it, but just kind of laying all that stuff out there, and then that building that is going over this utility easement is also, looks like it's interfering with the proposed drainage pipes that you guys are supposed to install that are the sewer separation for the lot. So that interface and that re-engineering is gonna be part of this approval as well. So we're gonna need to see that, we're gonna need to see what the timeline is for the utility installation versus the buildings, to make sure that they can coexist and coincide. Obviously, the city has is pretty interested in when that sewer separation is gonna happen, because there's a lot of water in that yard right now that's going into the sewer system. Anything else?
I think you got it on that fourth sheet. It is showing that proposed cantilever pallet rack system building being built directly over the drain line.
Yeah. Which isn't there yet.
Which isn't there yet.
Right.
The roller system, how does that work?
So you come up with a forklift. You, from the forklift, there's a power joint that you plug into the unit. The unit then rolls out. You put your pallet, or you pull the material off that's on there, if there's existing material on there, put the fresh pallet on it, put the old material back on top of it, reverse it, and it just slides right back in.
So, like, picture cubes. In each cube, the base is a roller system. And so when you pull up with a unit, you roll it right in on the roller. So you're basically sliding it into cubbies, like a cubby system.
So you're rolling it in from the top of the diagram,
From the front of
From
it.
the face.
from the face, but yeah, towards the sewer easement. Coming from the sewer easement towards it?
Yes.
Yeah. And that just rolls on, so it's not like a noisy rack.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, you wouldn't even hear it going. It's sort of like if you went to a commercial, like Amazon, there's all these rollers going on. It's just wheel.
You'll see that
ball
Home
bearings.
Depot and Lowe's have a lot. That's the way they utilize it's a high-efficiency racking system.
Okay,
So-
yep, yep,
Very little labor involved in it, so.
okay.
Peter, right where your cursor is, it looks like there's two laterals of some kind. And on the last sheet, the building that's 2,100 square feet, looks like it's going over those laterals, whatever they are.
That building,
Yeah.
I think that building goes away. The sheet up from that is
Doesn't
not the
mean-
last sheet, it's the second to last.
Yeah, right there. Is that the 2,100?
That goes away, right, that building?
Is that being eliminated?
These are going away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But, right, this will be,
That's there.
this is what it's replaced.
Okay. Sorry.
As far as the fence, I would think the 8-foot fence is probably warranted. You would need to go and get a variance for it. I think that's what they're saying.
Well, I would rather
At
do
least on the
it.
railroad side. That's what-
Yeah, that would be the only one that would be required there, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I would rather go without the barbed wire. You know, to me, I'd rather wait for it and take the barbed wire out. Particularly when you got kids running up and down that edge there.
Anything over 6 is gonna require a variance, unless it's there now.
It's there now with barbed wire.
It's a 6-foot fence with barbed wire now, so it's almost 8 feet tall.
Oh, so you
as
wanna
it
just
is.
go to 8 with no barbed wire? Yeah, I think that would need a variance.
What else, your designer come up with fire department access for throughout the site? You know, she's showing.
What, that?
Once fire department access.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You don't have that now, do you think? Do you have that now?
Yeah, but just probably have to improve it.
Okay.
Do you need to dig any conduits or anything to get power to any of these buildings?
So the building, the new cantilever building, or the new barn, there is a telephone pole that sits just outside the line, which has power to it. That would be, the line would be dropped in.
Overhead, you mean from the pole, so you mean dropped in?
Yeah, you've been in the yard 100 times.
Yep.
There's that telephone pole that sits right there, right above where this thing's gonna be.
Okay, yeah,
So it would just have the electric company drop a section in there.
right. Do these buildings, what do they require power just for lighting? Is that,
For this, for the barn, definitely we need lighting in there.
Lighting, yeah,
The
yeah.
rest of them, down the road, we propose some security lighting, but right now, we don't, we close at 4:30 now, so not like the old
yeah.
days, we don't need it.
yeah, all right.
What's feeding that pole now?
I'm sorry?
What's feeding that pole now? Because
Comes-
underground power is gonna be going in. through
Comes out of
there.
our building.
Comes out of your building?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I'm sorry? Yes, yeah.
Which building are you referring to when you say the barn?
When I say the barn?
Yeah.
The,
Where his mouse is now, that, up, yeah, right at the next one up.
The big one?
Yeah, that one, right?
that's going to require lighting.
And then your Anderson one will later, but there's a building there now that has power, right?
Yeah, that's power's there already.
So you're gonna need to provide that lighting on the site plan when you submit it.
Easy peasy.
Is there, like a site circulation plan, like how you get around the site?
So for the truck traffic, we'll call it our intake, it's coming in from the back gate, which is coming off Ed's project, so that they'll drive past the store,
So back here?
back through there, access through that part there. They will exit out through the main gate, and back onto the main street there. Trucks coming in for the millwork department will continue to do what they're doing right now, which they come in off Bartlett Street between the two buildings, drive up the property, they'll slide underneath the cantilever building we're talking about, and then exit through the main gate also. And it's pretty much the way the traffic is
So
now.
that dog leg right coming off Bartlett along the sewer easement, is
Yeah.
that, all the trucks can make that?
Yeah, they all come in now.
Okay.
In fact, they actually prefer that than coming around the building.
Sure.
And they'll be able to make
They-
coming out of there, make that left turn there.
Yep, they do now. Not often, but they do. And those trucks right now are going all the way through the yard and all the way through the back operation. But,
But they're not gonna have a building in there beside them, right?
I'm sorry?
Now there's gonna be a building there, though.
But they can drive under it.
Right, but then they gotta make a left turn.
Yeah.
To get out.
Right here.
Right.
It's gonna be a post in
That's
that
gonna-
corner to hold up the
It's
building.
gonna be a hard turn.
The engineer, I didn't draw it in here, he ran a bunch of scenarios to see how to make it. The guard shack's gonna move to the left. That'll be a 16-foot wide gate now.
The guard shack's moving over?
That guard shack's gonna move over to the left. We're not gonna have it in the middle. We're just gonna have one entrance and exit there instead of a dual exit.
Oh.
So yeah, you should show that new location if that's going to move.
Yeah.
Okay.
Show the truck turning path too.
The truck will have access if he's got a 48-footer, he doesn't think he can make it, he can still exit through the back, but we're trying to eliminate as much traffic as we can onto that back section.
And we still need to get our trucks.
I'm sorry?
We will need to get our trucks in and out.
Yeah, and even though that sewer easement's drawn at that weird angle, that is actually a straight drive right into the.
Yeah, that's all pavement.
That's a straight driveway in there, it doesn't.
Yeah, that's what's hard to see on the plans. I realize
Yep,
that
yep.
when I look at it, but when you look at the plans, it's hard to see where the circulation is. Are you taking up any pavement?
And there's no plan to, it's all paved, anything that's paved is staying paved. The only place that we may lose some pavement is on the right side of the three-sided barn we just built, and that's just because of what that's gonna break up to get there.
So you should show that open space versus pavement or edge of pavement or something like that, so we can see that. Did you see this? Secondary front yard?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
just two, it's fronting on two streets.
But is it? I thought we just had one street.
Well, it will be once the
Oh, it will be.
road's in, yeah.
Yeah. But it won't really be because it's
It doesn't make any
private.
yeah.
I think it's really just one principal front yard
Okay.
because you're going to have a private street, but it's not a front yard. Bartlett's going to be the front yard.
All right, is everyone all set? Do y'all have any other questions, or?
What is in the corner where the black says not included in the study? What's in there? Just
That's another property that Ed owns that's not part of our functionality.
yeah. It's used though.
It's currently I think it's the old pawn shop.
Pawn
with,
shop.
Was that the pawn shop?
garage store? He's got some storage buildings there that somebody rents, and it's not part of what we lease from him.
Yep.
We're just trying to make sure we didn't. There's a lot of properties that Ed owns there all in one, and, you know, Richie and Kodiak currently occupy the two, so we're just trying to distinguish.
Okay. I'm just curious because we're starting a study of the railroad bridge, a reconstruction, realignment of the railroad bridge. So we'll be looking at all the properties in that area to see what the impact will be.
Yeah, I think we recognize too that obviously it's a lot to go through these plans, and that stamped engineer would have been the way to go, but we just had so many questions with some of the placement of things. I don't think we wanted to tie up a lot of other resources we weren't even sure if that easement would come into play. So I think the idea was to get
Lay it
a pretty
all
good
out,
idea,
yeah.
and then obviously get you what you
Sure,
need to
yeah.
make the decision you need. But there's a lot of different moving parts to this, and it encompasses quite a few. And I think originally when we had our meeting, we had kind of the buildings crossing over that property line.
Right.
It
Yeah.
wasn't going to work right, so that wasn't
Right.
going to work, so, you know.
Yeah, no, that's the nature of the work session, so that's fine for this.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
Have you considered just merging those two lots? If all those buildings
we-
are
I think
private?
I think we did.
I think Peter said it would be the worst thing we could do at this point because it would change the.
No, I said it would probably be the best
Oh,
thing.
it was the best thing? I take that back. I think she said it was the worst thing.
No, I thought it would make things easier.
Just make it easier.
Planner,
Because I talked to Ed yesterday about it, and he said, well, he goes, I'm willing to merge them if that's what it takes.
I mean,
Well, you moved it.
we said if it was okay with him, within his financial situation, or,
Yeah.
but,
Does it change anything with the fact that right now Bartlett is the front and that lot 3, I guess we're calling it on here, where the store one is, it actually
The lot to the
technically
right.
doesn't abut any road? Is it?
There's no frontage.
well, it will
Frontage,
abut
right.
this private street.
Right.
Which will be a street that's been accepted on a plan.
Okay.
But Bartlett will be the front
Of
if
the-
this is all one lot.
So of the entire property, yeah.
the address is going to change.
Well, if he makes it one lot, though, would it still be the same
The
address?
address,
Will they have frontage?
Stage one
Will that be
lot,
considered
that's
frontage? If it's, we'll count that when it becomes private?
Yeah, when it becomes
Accepted?
constructed, yeah.
So right now, you couldn't build anything on it, because it's just a driveway, right? They couldn't, or could they? What would they do? Treat that as the frontage?
I think that's where our question of merging the lots came in too. Was it advantageous or not advantageous, right? I mean, I think
Well, the
in
way you've
some
got it
ways
now, I
is.
don't think it matters. It was because
Right.
your buildings were crossing that lot line.
Yeah.
Right, right.
And the facade, it had to be, the accessory buildings had to be back from the facade of the building.
That's what it was. facility.
And that couldn't work the way you had it. But now, the way you have it, you don't have anything on that lot to the right that's new. So you're not violating anything.
So, Pete, if the lots were merged, do the variances that we have for the rear lot go away? Do we have to re-variance that whole thing?
And that's lot 3.
Yeah.
Right, because you'd want to you'd have to do a new calculation for open space because it'd be a new lot.
So the
We'd have to look at that, and so that might be a problem. So it might be
I think that's
best,
what you brought up, was if you merge the lots,
you'd have to do all new calculations.
yeah.
Yeah, because he had already gone for a variance on that lot when he constructed the other two buildings a year and a half, whatever that was, a year ago.
Because the 9.6, which he was given the variance for, would go away, and that would make that lot really impossible to get there.
Maybe. So maybe he did say, that's the worst thing he could do. I just remember it being an
He
issue.
was on medication that day.
I
so-
remember, yeah, that's true. I remember it being an issue with the, with the facade.
All right, with that, does anyone else have anything? Vincent, you got one more?
That's it? One more thing?
We already asked for a photometric plan, right? Did I hear
A
that?
lighting plan.
A lighting
Yeah.
plan?
Lighting plan, yes,
Yeah.
I wrote that down.
And you mentioned there being some pavement being removed.
The only thing that possibly, that's going to be possible, I have to talk to what's going to happen is that back rear corner, it won't be much, because when the fence gets torn up, and right now I'd probably use that to just let it be drainage out there, because I can't get a vehicle back there.
Are there any catch basins nearby that might be impacted?
No. Closest catch basin is, actually, it's not even going to be on our lot anymore, it's going to be right in the middle of that road is, somewhere back there.
Well, if there's potential for sediment to get into it, there should be some sort of erosion control in it.
Well, my guess is when Ed puts that road in there, that catch basin's going away anyway, because the catch basin is one of those ones that Dave was bringing up.
Are you guys planning to apply for a shoreline permit from the state
We don't need one.
for the construction of the new buildings?
Or from the shore?
Yep, 250 feet from the shore.
I think their whole, was this included in the whole wetland permit application?
Oh,
So it should be part of that.
Was it?
It's all sealed surface now.
Sorry?
It's all sealed surface now, too, right?
It's all what?
Sealed surface?
Yeah, well, they're really improving the drainage, but yeah. Right, they're already beyond the 30%, well beyond it. And I think we're bringing it down a little bit, quite a bit, if you count the new development. Those are on the same lots, so.
All right. And you're welcome to come for another work session if you at some point.
Probably gonna need one, I think I have to
Yeah.
get all this together, because I'd rather be in the front.
That's
end.
fine to do.
It's gonna take probably a week to get all this stuff together, maybe a little longer. I mean, we're under the gun, but it is what it is.
All right.
You got any free land in town I can put lumber down on?
It's pretty.
Anything else?
No, I think I'm,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.